Good morning, everybody. This is Devinder here from Midland Property Investments. Today, I'm in Bermondsey with a very good friend of mine, John Corey from Property Fortress. Now, John runs the longest running, he's a real estate, longest running property meet in London. And so, John, thank you for seeing me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, so John, we're in Bermondsey here, which I believe that you live around here somewhere.
Yeah, down the street. And technically, for those that don't know, Bermondsey is part of southeast London. So very close, between London Bridge and Tower Bridge is sort of where we're at right now.
Okay, in a really cool place called Live Work Bermondsey.
So work.life.
Work.life. We'll take that as well. I'm here because I met John a few months ago in Birmingham. John did a great talk which really got me thinking, because I'm a property investor, so I invest in other people's projects, and I also invite people to invest in my projects. And I was quite surprised about, even though I knew about this rule, I was quite surprised. Before we get into that, I want to talk about a little about John. So John, as you can tell from his accent, is not a Cockney. So
Not
John,
a Cockney, okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay, so John, obviously you're not from England. Can you tell me a little bit, to the audience, a little bit about where you're from, and then how you ended up here?
Okay,
Yeah.
So grew up in Massachusetts on the east coast of the US, north of Boston, and I have what you might call a Kennedy or Massachusetts accent, Boston accent.
Okay.
Graduated in computer science a number of years back and moved to Silicon Valley after getting my degree in computer science.
Right.
So I started in Silicon Valley in 1982.
Wow.
This was quite early in some of the things that we now take for granted. Worked for Hewlett Packard, was one of the authors of their HP UX operating system, so co-wrote the standard for the tech people in the audience. Then moved on to Next Computers, so Steve Jobs gets kicked out of Apple, creates his next company, calls it Next.
Okay, yeah.
We discover a number of years later that there's a retailer in Britain called Next, so the name got changed to Next Computer.
Okay.
I was there for about 3 years. I actually worked directly for Steve for about a year because of the project I was running, and met another guy later at that experience who later subsequently was a co-founder of LinkedIn. So I was a beta tester for LinkedIn.
Oh wow, okay.
Ended up, because of my experience in that, getting a job with Swiss Bank Corporation. So the oldest of the big three Swiss banks. I moved to the London office, and that's what brought me to the UK.
Oh, see, what year was that?
That was 1994.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, so you've been here some time now.
Yes, I mean, I like to think I have multiple homes.
Right, okay.
So I'm not, quote, settled. Why
Okay.
settled? But yeah, I've been around for quite some time.
So you've probably been asked this question so many times and you're probably sick of it. Well, what was Steve Jobs like to work with? Yeah, so I heard some different stories about him, that he's quite standoffish and some.
Well, I wouldn't say standoffish.
Right, okay.
He wasn't shy. He was thoughtful, and so he didn't necessarily just jump into conversations for the sake of diving
Right.
in.
Okay.
But so the period was after Apple, the Macintosh was more or less failing when he gets kicked out of Apple.
Okay.
And then I'm at Next, and I was there 88 to 91. And by then the Mac is reasonably successful, but Apple as a company is not what we know of today.
Yeah.
There's no Pixar to speak of, or it's just starting to be a company, but it's not commercially successful.
Okay. Like it is
So
today.
Steve's quite well known in the industry. He's quite sort of known by some people, but he wasn't the icon that we know today.
Right. Okay. Right.
This is before he got married, so we somewhat joked at Next that the Steve before marriage was different than the Steve after marriage.
Right. Okay. Who did you prefer?
Well, I only really was there before marriage.
Okay. Right. Okay.
What that all means is he was mercurial, is how the Wall Street Journal talks about it.
Right.
And by being mercurial, attention to detail was important. Didn't take any prisoners.
Right.
When
Yes.
it comes to details like
That's
that.
what I heard. Okay.
So yeah, it taught me that detail matters matters in that when you get it really right,
Yeah.
it makes a world of difference.
Okay, and did you leave before he left to rejoin Apple, or?
Yeah, so I was already working for Swiss Bank by the time Apple bought Next.
Okay.
And
OST, I didn't remember Apple bought Next.
Oh yeah,
Right,
they,
okay.
they paid $400 million.
Wow.
So I was one of the shareholders that got cashed out.
Okay, right.
Not that I had a big shareholding,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was very much an acquisition. And Steve was not part of the acquisition.
Oh, I see.
He sold the company as the majority shareholder of Next to Apple,
Yeah.
and he went off to focus on Pixar. And
Oh.
9 months later,
Yeah.
they basically threw out the CEO of Apple who had done the deal,
Right.
and Steve was asked to take over.
Right, okay. Oh, and obviously the rest.
Yeah, the rest is history, as they
you could
say.
say, yeah. So, but now going back to you, so you had a great career.
Actually,
Yeah.
I want to tie something together. So I started in property in '83. when
Yeah,
I was in the
about
Valley.
the property
But
stuff, yeah.
the interesting thing is the public story of Steve, the whole how we remember things, the compression of time, the facts that get dropped out.
Right.
A little of this is covered in his Stanford speech, where
Yeah.
he talks about it's only afterwards when you look backwards that you can connect the dots. Now, I also hear that is it gives you permission to erase the dots that don't line up with the story.
Okay, right.
So we, over time, develop a story about how things happen that is not really tied to reality.
Right.
And the same with property investing, that how you pitch a deal, how you explain it, how you get to the end. And there's a lot of detail for a property project that you probably don't necessarily remember.
Right, okay.
And you compress the story, and then when people see how successful you are with your property deals, they don't see the journey you've been on.
Right.
They see the finished product, not the product of as it went along the way.
I think, and we talked about this yesterday, where people don't, maybe not highlight their failures, or other people don't see their failures, but maybe that's where the lessons can be learned from. That's where the lessons should be learned and make the life a bit more, the story a bit more interesting.
Yes. Well, we tend to see failure as a negative.
Yeah.
And it's success or failure, the final score is what counts, in some sense, not how you get there. But another industry, the marketing industry, doesn't have success or failure. What they have is test,
Right.
and then improving or learning from each test. And in the software world, with the lean startup as the model, you're not trying to build product, you're trying to build new learning experiences. And you focus on what you need to learn,
Right.
and then you run tests, or you create product, or you create solutions that will then tickle out that learning.
Right, okay.
So then you can draw new conclusions and move to the next layer, or
Wow.
the next step. And we need to be careful about thinking about learning rather than thinking about success or failure, because there is no definition of success in property. You can do so many different things at so many different levels, and you can beat yourself up about, well, I'm not as successful as I should be. It's like, well,
Right.
says who?
I mean, I think I do that myself regularly as well. It's sort of, I don't know, as entrepreneurs, you are always looking to push yourself. And I suppose you do compare yourself against other people. But how can you drive yourself? So I do look at yourself as well and say, okay, I want to be a bit like, be as successful as them. So I look at a lot of my mentors. And you do beat yourself up, but you sort of also drive yourself forward as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, and to tie it back to my tech experience. So I'm a certain age.
Yeah.
And that meant I was hitting Silicon Valley at a certain time.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily know it was going to play out the way it does.
Yeah.
And I've learned to reinvent the story. Drop out some bits, add other bits, emphasize things. If I'm talking to a technology person, certain things I've done are more interesting to them than it would be to the masses.
Okay.
The whole Steve Jobs thing, I didn't get hired to work for him. I had 2 layers of management leave.
Yeah.
And also I came into a particular group when they realized my skill set and some of my experience, they moved me to take on the biggest client that the firm had.
Right.
And that's another reason why, even when I wasn't directly reporting to Steve, I still was on a dotted line directly to Steve.
Okay.
And directly also the head of software besides my boss.
Right.
Because it was that important, then I needed to sort of facilitate a large contract with the software delivery and an internal team and the team at IBM
Right.
and all of that. Now, IBM hires this summer intern. Well, he's the later co-founder of LinkedIn.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
so you don't know that these things will happen.
Yeah.
And it's only later that when you look back, as Steve would say,
Right.
you connect the important dots and you sort of look at, I'll tell you certain things based on how interested you are.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, one core attribute that every property investor has to get good at, particularly in the days of crowdfunding now, is how do you tell the story?
Yeah.
What's the journey? How do you share it? How do you allow people to come along for the ride?
Right.
And sort of a joint venture, but now you can do joint ventures with scale.
Right.
It's like joint ventures on steroids.
Right.
And you can do it legally through crowdfunding. So this is a way to like take advantage of storytelling, which is how we're wired.
Yeah, I mean, I still got this thing about not sharing my failures. We talked about it yesterday, so we had the cracking talk by Laura Zipar.
Yeah, Laura Parr.
Yeah, and
One
but-
time Laura Crawford, but now married, so
Oh,
Laura
right.
Parr.
Okay.
Which is, by the way, one of the slides that had the Crawford name on
Oh,
it.
I see,
But
right.
I'm not sure how many of the audience realized that is actually the family.
No, I didn't realize that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll touch on crowdfunding a bit later because that's still. I talked to Atushka last night. I was quite impressed what I heard from the meeting from you.
Yeah, Tuksha is one of the co-founders and co-owners of Simple Crowdfunding.
Yeah. So just want to hear about your property journey because I know that you've got property throughout, let's say, throughout the world. But
Well, you got to tell the story, right? It's
Yeah.
property from Hawaii to Bradford.
Bradford, right? Okay.
Right, so-
yeah. How did you? Obviously, you don't live in Hawaii. So how do you? And why did you decide to invest in Hawaii and Bradford?
So, historically, it's got to do with places I've been to, or places I worked, or
Right,
places
okay.
that I had some sort of connection to.
Okay.
So, Hawaii, I'm actually going there later this summer.
Right.
So,
So is that a recent purchase then?
no, it's what, 15 years ago?
Okay,
Something
right.
like that. And the property there that I bought into was the first one to be developed in 25 years that's beachfront on the island of Maui.
Oh, is that
So,
right?
you know, it's one of these one-off opportunities, so you got
Okay.
to jump on it when you can.
Yeah.
My wife, she said something about wanting a property in Martha's Vineyard, which is off of Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I said, why? You know, like
Yeah.
it's cold in the winter, and as
Yeah.
much as I like snow and all
Yeah.
the rest of it,
Yeah.
you're not going to be particularly happy with a property on a beach that you can't use much of the year
Right.
unless you're wearing sweatshirts and long clothes.
Yeah.
I said, and she had never been to Hawaii at the time we're having this conversation. In fact, we probably weren't married then.
All right.
I said, well, then there's Hawaii, where high season,
Yeah.
peak season for weather, 10 months out of 12.
Wow.
And low season is pretty damn good.
Is it right? Okay.
So given that you can't predict your schedules, why don't you pick a property that you can go to at any time and you're probably going to like it,
Right.
rather than a property that you can only go to in good weather, or you got to sort of bundle up because it's winter.
Yeah. And so is that more of a holiday home or is it actually an investment
Yeah, I
property?
wouldn't say it's an investment property in a strong sense. People make the mistake of buying holiday homes and calling them investment property
Right,
as
but
a
it's-
way to justify to themselves.
Yeah, and to their partners by the yeah.
It's also more of a purchase about exclusivity. That if this was the first development in 25 years, it's beachfront,
Right.
and we bought beachfront,
Yeah.
then the
Capital growth. Yeah.
well, whether you capital growth, but you can always exit.
Yeah.
You won't get the shot at that too often. So when you have the opportunity to take the shot, take the shot.
Right, okay.
You can figure out later whether the shot was worth taking, but this is one of those opportunities where the downside isn't that bad and the upside's probably going to be good.
Okay,
And
right.
the exclusivity of it is like, look, jump on it when you can.
Right, and you're still happy you bought it?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right, okay.
I love going there.
Okay. And
Thinking
but-
about having an offsite with some property people.
So I know that you're Londoner, well, you know, you're a adopted Londoner. So how did you and why would you buy a property in Bradford?
So where I grew up in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
Lawrence, Mass, makes Bradford look good.
Right, okay, let me just think about that. I've been to Bradford, by the way. Right, Oh, I see.
So they're both mill towns
Yeah.
that had a peak in the past.
Right.
Woolen mill towns in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
where this would be more cotton, but still
Yeah.
clothing, fabric related. Bradford has more of an economy than Lawrence, Mass does.
Wow. Okay. Right.
Both have heavy immigrant populations.
Right.
It's more Dominican, Haitian, Puerto Rican in Lawrence.
Right.
And then in Bradford you have sort of Indian subcontinent, various different sort of subgroups. And the numbers made sense. It was a conversion of a school building. A friend knew about it. I was living in Chester, so
Yeah.
it wasn't terribly far away.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay.
So
So.
4 years up in Chester. So
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, it's not the case you were in London and you thought, okay, I'll buy a property. So that is definitely an investment. It's not. There's not emotional attachment to the reason. Okay. Right. Okay.
But I think there's something to be said for knowing a market
Right.
or knowing a community, and I didn't really know that one. The friend that I was that got the deal through did more.
Okay.
And I spent some time there, and basically reconnaissance to figure out where it is, what it is, what's going on.
Right.
Price was low, cash flow was strong, ability to refinance and recycle cash was good.
Okay. That's good. Yeah.
It's probably on that. So let me think. It's hard to say when I bought that. So it would have been, wow. So Hawaii might have been 20 years ago.
Wow,
because
okay, time flies.
Bradford might have been closer to 15.
Okay. Right. And so.
And like we're sitting close to where I own some other properties. So
Okay. Right.
bought those in 2002, 2003.
Okay. When it was going.
You could see them if that building wasn't in the way.
Right. Okay. So now going back, I wouldn't say present day. You started off in London real estate. First, why did you start it off, and why is it still going so strong?
So the London Real Estate Meet has a few purposes for me. I started in property back when people didn't have cell phones.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets weren't very common. Microsoft didn't have a spreadsheet product.
Okay. Right.
The dark ages.
Wow. Okay.
Email was done with modems.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And computers weren't portable.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think nowadays even our phones are like. I mean,
Yeah. We didn't have cameras that smart. So at the same time, I had pretty much gotten started by taking a course, took it on Saturday, Sunday, applied it on Monday, did a deal, nothing down in Silicon Valley, didn't know you had to wait, just did. But I learned a lot over the years from that point by going to meetings. And people had to send physical postcards to tell you the next meeting was coming. Always no email.
Right. Okay.
But it was still a physical meeting. There would be someone talking, and maybe they were pitching for a weekend seminar or whatever. But there was this education element, the networking element, and that worked well. So when I was moving back from Chester, I went to this tech meeting, and I asked people there how they found out about it. They said Meetup, and I said Meet what?
Meetup. Oh, right. Okay.
So they said meetup.com. I said,
Yeah.
okay, fine. I had received an email. I didn't know about this website. So I go to the Meetup site, and they have all these topics, and they were quite new. This is very early days of Meetup.
Right. Okay.
And one of the topics, they had basically seeded topics, and one was London real estate investing or something, whatever this long title is.
Yeah.
And there was 10 or 15 people interested in going to the first meeting.
Right.
Someone stepped forward.
Yeah.
So to step forward meant commit for at least 6 months, so you'd pay for the website.
Oh, is that right?
Meetup was essentially renting to you.
Oh, I don't see. Okay.
So I paid the $72 or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah.
Because it's a U.S. firm, and I created the London Real Estate Meet.
Right.
And it's evolved in the sense of size and everything, but essentially what it tends to be is for more experienced investors or newbies who are serious about getting started. It, in a positive sense, tries to be complementary to the progressives, the PINs, the other independent meets in London, because there's a lot of meetings in London.
Yeah.
So mine has a slightly more interactive element. I'm better at driving the crowd to sort of network and communicate. I pull out of the crowd people who have specialist skills
Oh, you
and
do,
knowledge,
yeah, you
so
put them
that
to the front,
the others
yeah.
in the room can know that they're there, which increases the communication. And the investors, it's based in the city, so you tend to get lawyers, doctors, accountants, bankers. You get people with serious money, you get people doing serious deals, and as you have heard, and you could ask other people that are going to watch this, it's a lot. It's considered the best in London
Right.
based on the individuals in the room.
Right, okay.
And they feel it's very different, and they get a lot more value because it's not formulaic. It's very much based on who's in the room.
Right, okay. So I heard about it from, both from you, but recommended by Nicole Bremner. So one of the things I want to talk to you about was this. It's basically the talk you did in Birmingham about how to raise, what's the legal way to raise finance from investors. Now, I think you and I.
So raising funding legally.
Yeah. Raising. Yeah. So. What I was quite amazed at, even talking about a deal, it's like a form of a pitch to anybody. So if I meet somebody,
It's not a form of a pitch. It's a pitch.
It's a bit right.
If your intention is to attract capital, you're pitching.
You're okay. But what if because I'll be on my I've asked you specific examples because I've been in that situation. So what if somebody said, "What are you up to nowadays?" Yeah. Now. And you know that.
You can legitimately answer the question and telling people what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you're answering the question and you're not trying to raise money from them.
Right.
You're just addressing the questions like, where'd you go shopping yesterday?
Yeah.
Or are you still married? Or, how'd you get here?
Yeah.
There's lots of questions people can ask and you can answer.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to be clear that if your intention is to raise money, that is a regulated activity.
Right.
With some exceptions. And even if you weren't intending to have that conversation, if that's what someone starts to have with you, then you know, whoa. Sort of like, as an example, if someone is married and they start being approached by someone else who's interested in dating, it's like, look, I'm already married.
Right, okay.
So you call time.
Okay, right. I mean,
but you don't say, well, I can't talk to you because I'm married. You just say, you can't go past a certain point.
Yeah.
Or if you're on a diet, you can look at the menu. You just don't have to order it.
But what if what if the activity I was doing was actually? By the way, can you, for the audience, can you just let them know what's the actual name of the law we're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. So. Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, is the UK regulator for basically financial activities. Broadly speaking, many of the activities that deal with consumers, except for banking and things in the banking sector mostly. So any financial promotion is covered by them.
Okay.
Now, they have one set of rules, say for loans, a different set of rules for equity, things like this. It depends on the type of promotion. Also depends on who is being spoken to. So the FCA is trying to protect consumers.
Yeah.
So most of the restrictions are on speaking to consumers.
Right.
If you're speaking to a representative of HSBC, and HSBC is interested in investing money, they don't generally have, FCA doesn't generally have restrictions on that conversation because they're not trying to protect an institution.
Oh, I see. Okay, it's more the everyday man.
Protect the individual.
Okay. Right.
And the everyday man is anybody who's alive and living in the UK.
Right.
Unless they can be proven to be exempt from the regulation.
Right.
So
Okay.
you start from everybody's covered.
Yeah.
And then some people might have professional qualifications or other reasons.
So
The FCA PS 13.3 is the buzzword. So Financial Conduct Authority policy statement 13.3, and it clarified some things in 2014 about financial promotions that were probably not clear, which is why they issued a policy statement.
Right.
And it was relating to a law that goes all the way back to roughly 2001. Gordon Brown was the Prime Minister when the original laws came in.
Right.
And where real estate people get in trouble is most of the real estate activities that they participate in are not covered by the FCA.
Right.
So the FCA has no meaning in their life, other than maybe if they're getting a loan for a primary residence. So suddenly they go from I'm doing my deals, I'm getting my loans from my agent, mortgage broker, whatever, and now I've run out of equity, I want to scale up, I want to do bigger deals, and the trainer types have said joint ventures is the solution.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, joint ventures is where you cross the line and
Right.
now you're into financial promotions.
Okay. So here's a couple of examples. I won't say that happened to me or somebody else, but so if you ask me, depending on what you're up to, I said, but what
So Devinder, what are you up to?
I'm actually raising finance for a project of mine.
But what does that mean? Are you getting a loan from a mortgage broker?
No, we're getting development finance for part of the purchase and all of
So
the.
development finance is code for a loan,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
From a particular lender who funds developments.
Yeah, yeah.
Fine. So that's the debt side.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess your savings is funding the rest of it.
Not all my savings, yeah. So what we're doing, we're still now talking with a number of sophisticated.
Okay, so see, here's to pick apart the sentence.
Yeah.
We are talking,
Yeah.
so there's more than one of you.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a team of people that found the deal and making all the decisions?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and you operate almost like a company, if not
Yes.
virtual, if not physical.
Yes, I would say more virtual. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that team, why doesn't that team just fund this equity that you need?
So we're all investing into the project ourselves, but there's still a gap
Okay.
for the rest of
So
it.
you're
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
Classic issue.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to raise the rest of the money.
Yeah.
So your intention is
Yeah.
to raise money.
Yes.
So your intention, see, this
Yeah.
is the issue.
Yeah.
So
But
you're intending
because
to
you
raise
asked
money.
me, so
No, I know, I asked you.
What would I say? Because that's my activity right now.
So you would want to raise this money legally, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're not gonna sell drugs or
No,
become
no.
a prostitute or something like that.
No.
Okay, so if I nonchalantly cross the line,
Yeah.
you would have to say, whoa, we gotta stop.
Right,
And
okay.
we need to,
Yeah.
there's a process. There's an FCA required process we have
Yeah.
to follow.
Yeah.
Or there's an FCA set of boundaries and I really can't continue the conversation past this point.
Right. Okay.
Just like a professional would do, medical, lawyer, whatever.
Yeah.
That there's certain things I can't talk to you about.
And okay, I'll do that. But then what I've got to actually document a bit of a questionnaire for them to fill out. But when I notice when you give them that, then the and the whole point of giving that is to carry on the conversation legally. Yeah, I noticed
Okay,
that the
so you have
conversation.
some sort of document
Yeah.
that asks them a series of questions.
Yeah.
And you are asking them these questions because you believe you're required to
Yes.
from the regulators.
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you say that to them? That the FCA requires me to know the
Yeah.
following information. I wouldn't ask for it other than the FCA requires it.
Yes, but that's what I find is, and I'm sure. I'm just guessing that also can be a similar position for other developers. Is the conversation seems to stop when you
That's
say
fine. That means they're not serious.
right. Okay, yeah, because
And say, if you don't want to answer, that's fine. We
Yeah.
can have a beer, we can go talk about sports and cricket or whatever.
Yeah.
But we now know that you don't want to go forward.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Right.
Next.
And then, but I have to say, but I'm not. Why should I answer all these questions for? It's
Because the FCA requires it.
yeah. So that's okay. That's one example.
Stop letting it be you're asking questions that
Yeah.
they don't want to answer.
Yeah.
And say, oh, the FCA's forced me to do this.
Okay.
If you want to consider an opportunity,
Yeah.
I need to know the following information.
Okay. So thank you. Here's another example. Someone approached.
By the way, that is true. The FCA requires it.
FCA requires it. Okay, yeah. But what if somebody approaches me or somebody else and say, look, I've got an office. I'm a solicitor. I've got an office in Jeddah.
Well, actually, before we go there, so say that I fill in this information, so now you have whatever's required.
Yeah.
Then what's next?
And then I say, this is where we are. This is the deal. This is the GDV, the purchase
Actually,
price.
that's not true.
Yeah, oh.
So you have to evaluate the information.
Yeah.
And if,
there's me.
if they're not exempt,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to present to them.
Okay,
So you're
right.
trying to find out if they're exempt from the restrictions that
Right.
are meant to protect ordinary retail investors.
Right, okay.
If they are exempt,
Yeah.
then you have legal, not permission, but it's legally fine to present to them at least certain types of things.
Right, okay.
I qualify that by certain in that you can present to an investor for a single investor deal,
Right.
but you're not allowed to present to people with the intention of pooling their money, multiple people,
Always see.
unless you're an FCA approved person.
That leads me to the next example, you see. Because I thought I understood it, and then after hearing you talk, I did more research. But even then, and these are real life examples. Say somebody comes to me and says, I've got an office, open office in Jeddah, I think it's in Saudi Arabia.
It is.
And I got approached by, I've got a couple of my clients there, and they said they've got £1 million to invest in UK property. Now, because you said that only covers UK consumers, so what should be, because he is a representative of them, so then what's the next step,
Well, here's a few things. So he's claiming to represent them.
Yes, I've got no,
So you'd have to verify.
and how would I verify that?
You'd have to see
without
some evidence.
Without
Well, you're not talking to his clients,
No.
but you need to see some evidence, like, does he have discretion over their money? Is he just doing an introduction? What is his relationship to them?
Yeah, okay.
And if he has discretion, and effectively he's running their money,
Yeah.
are they making the decision, or is he? And if he's making the decision,
Right.
and he's authorized to make that decision,
Yeah.
then you're primarily interested in him, his background, all the rest of it. If it's actually his clients that have to make the decision, now you
Yeah.
have to actually understand their backgrounds and all the rest of it. Flipping all this around slightly,
Yeah.
the Saudi authorities have rules potentially for this.
Right, okay.
You have to comply with the Saudi rules besides the UK rules.
Right, okay.
Because the laws of that country protect their citizens,
Yes.
at least the residents.
Right.
Sometimes the laws protect their citizens out of the country. Sometimes it's only when they're in the country.
Yeah.
I know one country that says, if the investment's here, we have these rules. If the investment's somewhere else, we sort of don't care.
Right, okay, right.
But you need to understand that per country and maybe per passport.
Right. Wow. Okay. Jim, this relationship is only new one. It came by LinkedIn.
It's fine. And in some sense, a lot of this comes down to the quality of your relationship.
Yeah.
It's easier for people to trust you after they know you,
Yeah.
which then they'll reveal more information.
Right.
So then you can find out if it's suitable for them, if it's appropriate for them,
Yeah.
which are two of the things the FCA cares about.
Right.
You really don't want to be dealing with people on transactions where it doesn't make sense to them, or it's not suitable given their circumstances, or
Right.
it's not legal given their situation. So finding all this out is part of the process.
I mean, I definitely, since your talk, when I bring that up, I do notice straight away the barriers goes up. So, I don't want to sign any forms. Yeah, it's just that no, it's a regulation. I've got to do it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
or the relationship is too early.
It's quite early.
You should
Yeah.
slow it down.
Yeah. Right.
And then when they say, well, tell me about this, they say, well, I can't tell you about that till this. So
Right.
eventually they say, okay, I'm happy to fill this in because I want to know about this, and and this is the gate.
Right,
And
okay.
if I don't pass this gate, I can't get to it, so I'm willing to now go through the gate.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Because it is minefield, but it's quite important.
It's professional.
Right.
It's sort of like dating or any other relationship built in trust over time.
Right.
And if you go too fast, yes, you will lose people.
Right.
And they'll get put off. Because like, well, why should I give you that information? Well, you don't have to.
Yeah.
If you don't give me the information, I won't give you this because I'm not allowed to.
Right. Okay.
So it's your decision.
And as I said, also what I do, I also invest my own money in other people's projects. When
Do you invest your money as the only other person investing, or are there multiple people?
I don't always know. It could be multiple, but I don't know.
That's interesting.
Okay.
So if they were inadvertently,
Yeah.
not by design but by mistake, committing a crime,
Yeah.
and your money's in a project that's a result of a criminal activity,
Right.
your money might get tied up when it goes to court and gets investigated.
Right. Okay. Okay. Something to think about. So it's
Do you really want to be investing with people who are naive and don't know what they're doing?
No, so I don't know. So what example I was going to give was that I do say to people, look, have you got any projects that need investment? Because I do invest, and I say,
I understand.
and then I send 2 self-certification forms at the same time as well, because just to protect them as well, let them know, look, I am, even though people that know me from, and just try to make it more official since that
Yeah.
yours.
So you're self-certifying to them, which
Yeah.
helps them.
Yeah.
But what I'm
In the
saying is,
first
if you
email,
don't
yeah.
know how many investors are in the deal,
Yeah.
you may be putting money into a deal that's not legal.
So what should one do in that situation? Because if he said, yeah, okay, fine, here's a deal, and
Well, you would ask like how many other people are in the deal.
and if there's more than one,
How's the capital structured?
yeah,
If there's more than one, say that you and I were running a business,
Yeah.
and we work with an outside investor.
okay,
That's technically seen as one investor with the managers of the investment.
we're one party, yeah.
So we're not seen as three, we're seen as two.
Okay, yeah,
Two's, in some respects, two's fine.
okay,
Now, say that a different situation is I have a deal and you put some money in, and not as a loan, you put it in as equity,
Yeah.
and I need some more money because you don't have enough money, and I don't have enough money,
Yeah.
so we get another person.
Yeah.
That's a collective investment now.
Yeah.
There's two investors and myself running it.
okay.
That is fully regulated by the FCA.
And then what should that developer do?
They need to be authorized by the FCA.
Right,
They
okay.
cannot take money from more than one party
Oh, you see, okay.
as equity
Right.
without being authorized already by the FCA.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So the developer is committing a crime
Yeah.
by talking or emailing to put more than one person into the investment,
Even if they got approached by other people and
even if they got approached.
wow,
They're
okay.
not allowed to pool money.
Right, okay. And what do they need to do to be FCA regulated? Is it
You need to go through a process.
Right,
If you want to accelerate it, you pay about 50,000 sterling, and you can become an appointed representative of another firm.
Wow.
Or you can
Okay.
go through about a 6-month process and get directly authorized.
Right, okay.
There's some qualifications, some testing, or educational elements. But if you go the appointed representative, you're trading off of the license or authority of the principal firm.
Right, okay.
There is a third alternative.
Yeah.
You do deal at a time funding, deal at a time authorization.
Yeah.
And you can do that by basically paying for an FCA authorized person to handle that one transaction.
Right, okay.
Investment banker can
Yeah.
do that. It'll probably cost you $250,000 or more just for them.
Okay.
Not for your deal, but for them. Or
Right.
you can do it through a crowdfunding platform that's approved for this type of funding.
Right.
And they typically are closer to 5% of whatever you raise.
Yeah.
So it's probably the least expensive, the least hassle, and more aligned with the social media.
See, that's amazing, really. 'Cause I don't think, a lot of people, even I think professional or experienced developers, maybe they don't know exactly the quite nuances of this law. Right.
There's a developer, it's a group of a few people.
Yeah.
They would be known on the circuit,
Yeah.
in the past at least, and they're FCA authorized.
Okay.
But they don't make a big point of it,
Because why?
because most people don't seem to ask.
Right.
But if you actually look their names up,
Yeah.
and if you look at their literature,
Yeah.
there's always a disclosure statement,
Yeah.
and it has an FCA authorization number.
Right.
And I believe they're an appointed representative of a principal firm, so the principal firm's listed on there.
Wow. Okay.
Now, if I mentioned the name, you would know who they were.
Okay, right.
But most people, they're authorized? It's
Right.
like, yeah, they're authorized.
Right.
And they're paying what it costs to be
Wow.
authorized.
And so, John, now leading us nicely on to crowdfunding. So, when did you first discover crowdfunding, and why are you, I wouldn't say spokesman, why do you encourage people to look at that? So what's the main thing when did you get into crowdfunding?
My awareness of it is when they launched the policy statement 14.4. So
Okay.
FCA policy statement PS 14.4, which I believe was April of 2014.
Okay, right.
It historically had, in the UK at least, started more from the debt side.
Okay.
And the Office of Fair Trade authorized some firms.
Right.
Then the FCA took over, they merged the equity and the debt side under the FCA jurisdiction.
Okay.
And this is what this policy statement was about. It's been a little slow to get started on the equity side.
Okay.
So I would say the first true equity platform that allowed anybody to put up a deal. Didn't even launch until almost 2 years ago, not quite.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Simple Equity at the time was one of the first out of the gate. For equity, where they weren't just branding their own product.
Okay.
So a number of the platforms that did exist in the equity space were typically only putting up deals that they label as their deals.
Oh, I see, okay,
So they would source their own deal.
Yeah.
House Crowd was very early, even before the legislation, but they were only raising money for their own deal. Then you had some other platforms, and a few of them done a bit of a hybrid. They claim it's their deal, but it's really privately a joint venture.
Right.
You know, so there is someone else that brought the deal to the platform.
Yeah.
The platform takes a piece of it,
Yeah.
as claims that their deal, brands it that way, because that's their business strategy.
Okay,
which is
yeah,
fine.
fine.
Simple crowdfunding, which is the newer branding for Simple Equity, is essentially saying you can put up a deal under your own name, under your own company name, whatever, which I see as a big positive, because then you can build your brand.
Right.
And don't think of it as just raising funding. Think about this is legal marketing of financial opportunities to build your brand.
Right.
To go large, to really attract a crowd, so that you now have people on a wait list saying, when's your next deal? We
Right.
got money waiting.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to hunt differently when there's money piling up, waiting
Yeah, yeah.
for you to secure another
I
deal.
think you hold with confidence then, you say, okay, yeah.
Confidence changes.
Yeah.
You know what size deals to look for. You know what type of structure
Right.
you're funding for. So that's what you hunt for.
Okay, so what we'll do, we also put a link to
Simple crowdfunding.
Simple crowdfunding on there as well, because I was
You can link if you want to policy statement 14.4 on the
put
FCA,
there on that
which is
as
the
well.
crowdfunding legislation.
Okay, cool. So, John, do you do most of your deals through crowdfunding then? Do you, or?
So I haven't been investing directly in any deals. I'm a buy and hold landlord. I'm a bit lazy, so I like to hold on to stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
So all my recent transactions have been through crowdfunding.
Okay, right.
And I want to essentially develop a network of people that have deals, so that I can invest across them.
Right.
I can get exposed to different types of deals, and over time I want to turn that into a bigger structure, which would go into another time.
Okay.
But essentially using crowdfunding as a way to springboard into something bigger.
Okay, right. I think we're going to come goes into the interview soon. But so I went yesterday to the London Real Estate Meet, and what John said that he gives regular 20-minute slots. And is this right to anybody? If any query about property, if you fill a slot out, then he will take 20-minute call. Is any catches to that? Do you have to go on your courses? Do you have to go to London Property, or can anybody use that slot?
So anybody can use it.
Yeah.
There's been a number of calls recently that people have found me through Google,
Yeah.
where they were searching for something and it comes up.
Yeah.
So the offer is as follows: 20-minute conversation on the phone.
Okay.
Occasionally we use Zoom or something if you're out of the country. But 20 minutes, as long as it's property, real estate related,
Right.
let's have a conversation.
Okay.
There's no fee, there's no obligation,
Right.
there's no sort of you must do this, you must do that.
Right.
It's a bit of paying it forward, where I get advice from people over the years,
Yes.
and it's helped me, and I'm happy to share. On a personal level also, it keeps me more aware of what's going on in the market.
Okay.
Lets me know where people are struggling, and I can sort of match things up, or I can say to call, oh, you should talk to these people.
Right.
Is that, they have a solution for that. It also sometimes highlights topics I should have at the monthly meeting.
Right.
Because there seems to be a recurring pattern.
Okay.
So it's like market intelligence, so I get a benefit. Besides, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
I have a limited number of slots every week.
Right.
So it doesn't sort of like fill my calendar.
Okay.
But I'm happy to leave that open every week, and people book a time and I call them.
And I'll put that link on there as well. Is it?
Yeah, it's propertyfortress.com/ask-John.
Okay.
And you can Google it, but it's pretty easy for people to find out.
Okay.
And then the other one is another place you'll find the information is the monthly meeting, the London Real Estate Meet. If you go to propertyfortress.com/events,
Yeah.
at the bottom of that page, there's a section about if you want to do a 20-minute call.
Right.
So you can go to the events page or the Ask John page, but you'll get to the booking.
And do you record them and put them online as information for the people, or they're private, are they?
They're private.
Okay, right.
It's not the intention to reshare it.
Oh, so not as an information, and okay, right.
Most people, what they're asking about, they're not that interested in having it reshared.
Right. Okay, right.
At the same time, anyway, it's 20 minutes. It's only 1 or 2 questions
Right.
or topics, and
Right.
we can dive in quite easily and just boom, nail it. People have been known to book more than one, where
Right.
they book a call, we chat, and a few weeks later they book another call.
Right, okay.
That's fine.
Okay. So, John, we're just going to close, so please like and share this video, and if you've got any comments for John or for me, leave them underneath the link. And if there's anybody else that you feel that I should interview, please put the link as well. With that, I just want to say thank John. Thanks,
Thank
John.
you.
Cheers.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.